Picture this. It's 2 a.m. in a high-rise luxury apartment in downtown Chicago, or maybe LA. The lights from the city are flickering outside, and inside, there's a woman who's done everything right. She's got the six-figure career, the designer bags, the boss babe title, and a LinkedIn profile that would make anyone jealous. But the silence in that room? It's deafening. It's a heavy, gut-wrenching kind of silence that no amount of career success can drown out. She's scrolling through a dating app, seeing the same ghost town profiles, feeling a void that wasn't supposed to be there. This is the reality for millions of modern women today. They were sold a dream of absolute independence, told they didn't need anyone, and now they're waking up to a nightmare of profound, bone-deep isolation. They're lonelier than they've ever been in human history. And the worst part? The men they expected to be waiting for them, the experienced, stable men over 60, straight up do not care anymore. They've checked out of the game, and they aren't looking back. We're witnessing a massive tectonic shift in how the sexes interact, and if you're a man watching this, whether you're 20 or 60, you need to understand the why behind this collapse. For decades, the narrative was shoved down our throats. Men are the problem. Traditional roles are oppression, and women should prioritize everything except building a family. Now, the bill is coming due. Modern women are hitting their 40s and 50s, only to realize that a CEO title doesn't hold your hand when you're sick, and clout doesn't replace the warmth of a stable home. They're trapped in a loneliness epidemic that isn't just about being single. It's about a total disconnection from the biological and social reality of what makes us human. And while these women are searching for answers, men over 60 have quietly found theirs in a place nobody expected. Total, unapologetic peace without the drama. If you find this breakdown eye-opening and want to stay ahead of the curve in this changing world, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because we're diving into the raw truth that most people are too scared to touch. Let's get real about the strong, independent woman trope. It's a marketing campaign that failed. Hard. Biologically, we are wired for connection, but modern society has tried to hack that biology with social media and careerism. For a woman, the peak of her social and dating market value usually happens in her 20s. That's when the world is at her feet. But the modern lie told her to spend those years finding herself, chasing corporate ladders, and treating men as disposable options. Now she's 45. The likes on Instagram are drying up. The high-value men her age are looking at women 10 or 20 years younger, and she's left wondering where the good men went. The truth is, the good men didn't go anywhere. They just evolved. They realized that the deal being offered by modern dating is a scam. Why would a man who has spent 60 years building his life, his wealth, and his peace invite a woman into his world who has spent her life being told he is unnecessary? It's a bad investment. And men over 60 are the best investors in the world when it comes to their own time and energy. The data is screaming at us. Recent studies show that by 2030, nearly 45% of women aged 25 to 44 will be single and childless. That's a staggering number. We are looking at a future of cat ladies on a global scale. This isn't some red pill fantasy. It's cold, hard sociology. When you prioritize autonomy over accountability for 30 years, you end up with a life that is autonomous, sure, but also completely empty. Men over 60 see this. They've been through the marriages, they've seen the divorces where they lost half their assets, they've dealt with the modern expectations where they have to be a traditional provider but get treated like a toxic patriarchy. They've done the math, and the math says, no. They've moved on to hobbies, travel, mentorship, and a quiet life that doesn't involve being a fixer for someone who spent their prime years ignoring them. They aren't bitter, they're just done. They've reached a level of zero cares given that is actually quite beautiful. They've found that a quiet house, a cold beer, and zero arguments is worth more than any partnership the modern market is offering. And let's talk about the younger guys, the 18 to 30-year-olds. They're watching this. They're seeing their fathers and grandfathers choose peace over the rat race of modern dating. They're seeing the loneliness of the boss babes on TikTok, crying about how men don't approach anymore. Of course they don't approach. When you spend years telling men that approaching is harassment, or that I don't need a man for anything, men eventually believe you. They say, okay, bet, and they walk away. This has created a massive disconnect where women are lonelier than ever because they've priced themselves out of the market with unrealistic expectations and a lack of traditional value, while men have found fulfillment elsewhere. Men are finding brotherhood, they're finding fitness, they're finding the grind, and they're finding that they don't actually need a permanent headache to feel like a man. The psychological toll on women is massive. We're seeing record high rates of antidepressant use among single women in their 40s and 50s. Why? Because you can't fight millions of years of evolution with a few decades of feminist theory. We are social animals. We need intimacy. We need to be part of a team. When you destroy the idea of the team in favor of the individual eventually cracks. Men are naturally more suited for solitude. We've been hunters, explorers, and lone workers for eons. We can sit in a room and build a clock or a car for 10 hours and be perfectly happy. But for many women, that isolation is a slow poison. They were told independence is power, but they're finding out that independence is also just being alone when you're sick, alone when you're sad, and alone when you're celebrating. It's a Pyrrhic victory. You won the war against men, but now you're standing on a battlefield with no one to talk to. And for the men over 60, the ones who don't care, it's not out of malice. It's out of self-preservation. These men have survived the wars of the 20th century, the economic crashes, and the total transformation of culture. They value one thing above all else: peace. They look at the modern dating scene, the games, the standards, the what do you bring to the table attitude, and they find it hilarious. They don't want to be high value for someone who only values their wallet. They'd rather spend their time teaching their grandkids how to fish, or traveling to countries where traditional values still exist, or just enjoying the silence. They've checked out because the check-in price is too high. This is the reality. The world is splitting in two. Women who are realizing too late that they were lied to, and men who are realizing just in time that they don't have to participate in the lie anymore. If you're listening to this and you're a man who has felt the pressure to settle or to deal with the chaos just to not be alone, stop. Look at the elders. Look at the men over 60 who are thriving in their solitude. They are the blueprint. They show us that your value isn't tied to how much you can tolerate from a partner who doesn't respect you. Your value is in your peace, your purpose, and your own path. The loneliness of the modern woman is a tragedy, yes, but it's a tragedy of their own making. You can't set the house on fire and then complain that it's cold. As we move further into this decade, this divide is only going to grow. The loneliness epidemic is the new pandemic, and the only vaccine is a return to reality, a return to mutual respect, and a total rejection of the "I don't need you" ideology. Until that happens, men will keep checking out, and the silence in those luxury apartments is only going to get louder. Straight up, no cap, just the truth. So where does this leave us? We're looking at a world where millions of women are waking up in their 40s and 50s, realizing that the Boss Babe trophy doesn't keep you warm at night. They were told they could have it all: the career, the travel, the independence, and then just pick up a high-value man whenever they were ready. But they forgot one thing. Men are human beings, not backup plans. And men over 60, who have lived through the divorces, the legal battles, and the "you're unnecessary" rhetoric, have finally said, "Okay, fine. If I'm unnecessary, then you don't need me now that you're lonely." That's not bitterness, that's a boundary. It's the ultimate reality check. For the men watching this, especially the younger guys, listen closely. You are witnessing the greatest social experiment in history fail in real time. Don't be the rescue mission for someone who spent 20 years devaluing men like you. Focus on your health, your wealth, and your peace of mind. Build a life that is so fulfilling that a woman has to actually improve it for her to be allowed in. Look at the men over 60 who are thriving alone. They aren't missing out. They've found the secret, that a man's value isn't determined by his ability to please a society that doesn't respect him. The loneliness epidemic among modern women is a tragedy of their own making. It's the result of trading long-term connection for short-term ego strokes. And as the wall gets closer for more and more people, the noise is going to get louder. They're going to call you names, they're going to blame the patriarchy, and they're going to demand you do better. Your only response should be the same silence that men over 60 have mastered. Protect your peace at all costs. If this video opened your eyes or confirmed what you've been seeing in your own life, share it with a brother who needs to hear this. Don't let your friends get caught in the loneliness trap. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. We don't do sugarcoating here. We do truth. It's time to stop living for a narrative and start living for yourself. The world is changing, and you can either be a victim of the shift or the master of your own path. Thanks for sticking through to the end. Stay sharp, stay focused, and above all, keep your peace. I'll see you in the next one.